Bad question.
I said,
You want to know what?
I was trying to say.
This is why, Mr. Kelly,
yes.
You're never going to overtalk me. River Ridge versus Timothy Kelly. My goodness. State your appearances, please. Your name, sir?
I'm Tim Kelly, yes.
All right.
Sorry, Your Honor.
No, not a problem. Ms. Dornbush, you guys can have a seat. Ms. Dornbush, it is indeed a pleasure seeing you actually in person and not in a little box on my screen.
Yesterday, that my last appearance in your courtroom was the last day we had in-person proceedings before COVID. This Friday, we were in this courtroom because we had to
go back and forth.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
It's been a while. Yes. Okay. So where are we on this case?
Today is the date and time for, I think, a settlement conference.
Yes.
As of the last date, Your Honor, given plaintiff an opportunity to file a reply to Mr. Kelly's answer, which got done, setting forth deficiencies in the answer, what I would call admissions in his answer, additional grounds on which the plaintiff has to terminate Mr. Kelly. The most serious of which, Your Honor, is based on the revocation of Mr. Kelly's driver's license, which I believe occurred in 2022. And he's certainly been driving his car in the community over the last 2 years, and that violates Michigan statute and rules and regulations. Clearly state that a violation of Michigan statute or any other ordinance, local, state, or federal, is grounds for termination of the tenancy. So I don't know that there's a tribal issue in this case, Your Honor. For that reason, we would be asking for a judgment session today.
I can't hear a word she's saying. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Like 40% hearing. Trying to get a hearing aid right now. Appreciate it. Sorry.
You're different than her.
Yeah.
Like this?
No.
Like this. Got it. Sorry. That's much better. Thank you.
I was going to have you do it the other way. Sit here and laugh. Anyway. All right. Could you briefly surmise what you just said, Mr.
Your Honor, as I indicated, our complaint for termination did. And in our reply, we did set forth several deficiencies in the answer, as well as the additional grounds on which plaintiff has to terminate Mr. Kelly's tenancy. The most serious of those additional grounds is revocation of Mr. Kelly's driver's license in 2022. Has most certainly, over the last 2 years, been driving his car in the community, presumably without a driver's license. And rules and regulations and the community is required to abide do indicate that violation of Michigan statute or any ordinance is grounds to terminate driving in the community without a license or violation of the lease agreement. For that reason, I don't believe there's a tribal fact here. I do believe plaintiff is entitled to a judgment of possession.
Your response, Mr. Kelly.
Your Honor, none of that was brought up in the initial complaint back in July. She hasn't brought up one thing that the original complaint stated. So, I don't know where the laws come in as far as my license and everything, but.
Pardon?
I say I don't know where the laws lie as far as I haven't researched anything in the Michigan state statute or the community guidelines that mentions anything about driver's license. That's because this is the first I've been accused of that. I mean, it's all the first time it was brought up, and that recently happened, and I don't own my car anymore. So,
what recently happened?
That my car was taken away or impounded, not impounded, repo. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I may reply to that. Your Honor, our reply to defendant's answer does set forth the ongoing grounds listed in the original demand for possession, which Mr. Kelly failed to respond to several of those. In his answer, Your Honor, very vague responses to the complaint for possession. 1. 2, Mr. Kelly does not respond to the claims that he's part of the law and that he's been disturbing other residents and that he has verbally abused the threat management and their personnel. Doesn't respond to that at all in the complaint. He makes no statement in support of his claim of retaliatory eviction. The original demand for possession, Your Honor, does state that we would rely on those being specifically delineated, but it also indicates that plaintiff would rely on any other violation that plaintiff becomes aware of at the time that this demand was issued. Plaintiff was unaware of ongoing issues with Mr. Kelly not having a driver's license. And so now the plaintiff is aware of those, they are going to be relied upon in this case.
Did respond to those as calling them false. I mean, there is one statement there. I didn't know if that should have been brought up with my answer or brought up in the trial, negate those accusations properly, because they don't stand up to the truth. None of them. So I did state that in the answer.
Your Honor, the Michigan Court Rules MCR 2.111A require a clear and concise answer. The same rule, subsection D, requires the defendant to state the substance of the matter he's going to rely upon in defending a complaint filed against him. 2.111F requires defenses to be pleaded. It also indicates that allegations that aren't addressed are deemed as admitted. Because Mr. Kelly did not specifically, he doesn't make any specific statements at all regarding claims against him. Again, a vague assertion that they're false, but how are they false? There is nothing in his answer to support his claim that these allegations are false.
I did go through each step that they were claiming and disagreed with them. I mean, I thought that's what the answer was supposed to be as far as the state guidelines and the community guidelines. I didn't know I had to. I thought that would be brought up in trial when I could bring evidence.
No, sir. That's not how it works.
If I just answered that these aren't true, each one, yes, I mean, I don't.
Well, you have to specifically lay out what your answer is, not just some general denial of everything.
I don't see anything true about it. It's, it's under the guise of upon information and belief. It's just hearsay when the bottom line. So I didn't, I don't have a lawyer. I can't even afford a lawyer. So I'm trying to do it myself, Your Honor. But all that, I have phone numbers and all kinds of things that you could call if you want to verify my reputation as a.
When did you stop driving? How long has it been since you haven't driven a vehicle?
I'm getting my license back through the state for quite a while. I don't have any means to get to one.
So you haven't been driving for how long?
Probably 2017.
So you've not driven a vehicle since that time? Okay.
Well, I mean, I got pulled over I went to Bush's. It was for an emergency. I have a daughter at home, stays with me off and on. And
you got pulled over in Saline.
Yeah. I was driving that day just to go to Bush's.
In August.
To get groceries, yeah.
In August, right?
I'm a senior citizen on a fixed income, and it's very hard. Everybody wants lawyers or money, and I just don't have it.
You really haven't stated anything here. You say that they're retaliating. You've not stated anything regarding a retaliatory eviction.
Well, the reason I didn't, Your Honor, was because I thought that would be brought up in trial. I'd be happy to.
No, sir.
Well, okay, I could talk about it now. I mean,
that's not how this works, Mr. Kelly.
What do you want me to go through each one, even though they're false claims? I mean, I don't know how to do anything else except deny that what they're saying is not true. Now, the retaliation came the day after Ms. Smith and I got into a little scuff on the phone, and the next day I have a big thing on my door saying that I'm gonna be evicted. There's false allegations there that I can very easily prove wrong. One, I've never ever threatened an employee or her in any way,
Mr. Kelly,
shape, or fashion.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
If I set this for a trial and you lose, you're out in 10 days. You know that.
10 days anyway, from what I understand.
What?
I if I defaulted or you judge for the plaintiff or side with the plaintiff, I thought I had only had 10 days anyway. What? Is that true?
Yeah, it's 10 days under the statute.
Well, that's another reason that I feel I have to take it to trial. I mean, my outside of my house is perfect, but the inside needs a little work. And if I was going to sell it, I'd take a huge loss on that. If I had to get out in 10 days, find somewhere to live. I have a dog there. I've been there since 2017, Your Honor. This is the third corporation that's owned it or managed it. I wasn't written up once in those first.
Mr. Kelly, what do you want to do?
I want to.
They don't want you there.
I want to save my house. I want to stay there. I mean, I retired. I put everything I had into that house. I paid my life savings to buy that free and clear so I wouldn't have a mortgage payment. I mean, I was planning on dying in Saline, I mean, there. And it's in a trust. It's in a trust beneficiary, Your Honor, for my daughter. It's the only thing I have to leave for her. She's a disabled minority. She doesn't have anything that's going to be left to her except that house. And that's my plan, is to leave it to her. And I don't know, between Pamela and I, we used to get along great. I mean, I haven't been able to even speak to her. So I just don't, I'm kind of confused as to, she knows my situation. She knows my daughter. She's fed my dog when my dog comes up. Let's talk about it. So, I feel that it's off the extreme. I mean, I cut the lawn for 4 older women there in the neighborhood. I have everyone around me.
Mr. Kelly.
I just think I'm not the type of man they're making me out to be, Your Honor. How else can I come here and
Well, your pleadings are bad. And I could frankly find that I don't have a tribal issue and grant them a judgment today.
Sorry, Your Honor. Could you repeat that? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Your pleadings and your filings are bad. They're missing all kinds of things. It doesn't present to me an issue that I could even try at this point.
Well, I can't even keep up with the paperwork between the monetary things that I get every month. I mean, I've been going to court. I've been before you for the last 6 months. I mean, it's hard to keep up with all their paperwork. I apologize, but I didn't know that. I can't afford a lawyer. I'm trying to do the best I can. I thought that I could, I can bring you evidence of negating some of that stuff in trial. I didn't know if you want me to answer that and give you
I told you to answer before, and I don't have it. Actually, I told you, I think, twice.
Oh, you do have it, Your Honor, because you found it at the last hearing. We took a recess because you didn't have it, but then the court clerk.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your answer is wholly deficient.
Okay. I apologize. I was up all night. I don't know, really. I'm not an attorney, so I thought by just telling you that, I don't know how to answer. Some of those aren't accurate to the facts, so I didn't know if you wanted me to just state without any evidence to negate their claims. I didn't think you needed me to just say, what went on there, because I couldn't bring you any proof of it. So I didn't know that. I can present evidence and all of that if you give me time.
What would you present to this court, Mr. Kelly?
Well, I could present the fact that the claims that they filed are false. For instance, the car on the lawn, the threatening of the employees. I don't have all of them in front of me, but I could prove that those aren't true. And there's been other write-ups that through the.
Suppose you have a photo.
I have a photo. It's his mother-in-law's car. It was towed last year after many months and notices that the car needed to be removed. My understanding, Mr. Kelly, please let me finish, is that when the tow company came out to remove it, he threatened the tow company. now. I'm still trying
That's a
to,
lie. That is a lie, and I can prove it wrong because I spoke to the Mayflower towing guy, and he denied that he ever said that. In fact, Miss Smith said that he told her that
Let him take a look.
he told her that I pulled the gun. Yeah, what is this? The car? I'm not denying the car. I'm denying the fact what they said.
You
Miss
just,
Smith-
Mr. Kelly,
Miss
you
Smith
just,
gave me permission, Your Honor, for that car to be on the grass. She knew that it was my ex-wife's mother's car and she just passed away and she didn't have anywhere to put it. And I had it on my driveway, it's leaking a little oil, so I just moved it. Now I repaired that lawn and it's a beautiful looking car if you saw it, but she was aware of it. Now, there was some controversy the day that it got towed because I was asking her to please wait because my ex had called me and she called.
if she gave you permission, why would they have it towed?
Because it took.
Why would they have it towed?
Because
If what you said, Mr. Kelly, if it's true that they gave you permission to have it there, why would they have it towed?
It was, Your Honor, I could prove that it was.
It does answer my question.
It was towed because it had come to the point where it was on the lawn, it was there too long. And she said that she gave me it, she stamped the car was there for a year, Your Honor, on that lawn for a year. And then she put a tag on the car and that's when we started negotiating and I called my ex and told her, you got to get this car out of here. They want it out and it's going to be towed. That was when it came to that point.
Mr. Kelly,
But it was on the lawn
Mr.
for a
Kelly,
year, Your Honor.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
you told me three different things about this car. You're
Yeah.
telling me that they gave you permission to have it on there. So how long, presuming they gave you permission, how long were they allowing you to keep it on the property?
There wasn't any set time. It was there. I kept the lawn. I always whipped around the car. I cut the lawn. When the car was
I didn't
gone,
ask you about the lawn.
I repaired the lawn.
I didn't ask you about the lawn.
There wasn't anything in writing or set. It just came to the point where it was there too long. Like I said, Pam and I got along fine. And then it was getting to the point, look, that car has been on there, or the car has been sitting there for too long. It didn't have proper plates. And that's when they put a tag on it and they gave me 10 days to get it out of there.
And did you?
I was my ex-wife. Yes, she was in the process of getting it. And I had no.
You talk in so
I
many
had
circles,
no,
Mr.
I'm
Kelly.
not talking in circles.
You absolutely are.
You're asking me what happened and I'm telling you.
I didn't ask you what happened. I'm asking very specific questions and you're not answering.
I'm telling you.
You take off going in another
I didn't
direction.
have any.
Why do I care whether you weed whipped around the car?
I guess you don't.
I don't. I didn't ask you that.
Well, they're making it out like my property's a junk pile and it isn't. It's one of the nicest kept up yards in the area.
Did I ask you that?
I'm sorry.
first off, there's nothing in any of our pleadings in any way, shape, or form alleging that his site looks like a junk pile. So no, that is absolutely false. Your Honor, I have here a rule violation issued December 30th, 2022, no parking on the lawn. A rule violation issued on January 12th, 2023, no parking on the lawn. There is a note that they also emailed him about the dog being outside on tie-out, also a violation of the rules and regulations, and the vehicle being on the lawn. On 2/1, he called and said he will remove the car within 1 week. On 2/16, the car was tagged. I don't know the exact date that it was towed offhand, Your Honor, but what day was it? April 23rd, Your Honor. So many months after all of this. So Mr. Kelly had ample time to remove the car and he didn't. After no-
My ex was speaking with Miss Smith and it was kind of between them at that point. I'm talking about the last, you can ask her, my ex talked to her. They were
Kelly,
talking
Mr.
back
Kelly.
and forth. Her mother died here.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
they told you to get the car off the lawn.
And
They
I-
told you were in violation.
And I
You
did.
did nothing.
I did get it. It was towed.
Who towed it?
Mayflower Towing.
Okay.
At that point, I said,
Bad question.
take,
You want to know what?
I was trying to say.
This is why,
This
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
you're never going to overtalk me.
I'm not trying.
No, you are.
It just seems like just a man trying to save my house from.
Mr. Kelly, you told me about that vehicle. I just take that. What they told me is what Ms. Dornbush laid out. You weren't telling me the truth.
I am telling you the truth.
No, you're not. Why would she give you permission to park on the lawn and then send you a notice that you're in violation?
Because Honor, I can give you proof of when the car was there and when it was towed.
Listen to my question. Listen to my question.
Go ahead.
Oh, no. Mr. Kelly, you better check that attitude right now. You better check it. You better check it, Mr. Kelly. Oh, don't. Oh,
I don't know
Oh,
what
no.
I'm doing wrong. Your Honor.
Here's one thing that you've done wrong.
Please tell me.
Here's one thing that you've done wrong. I am not going to have that attitude coming from
I
you.
don't.
You need to figure out what you're doing. You have interrupted me throughout these entire proceedings. I'm not going to have it. Outside of the fact you've got a warrant for your arrest.
I apologize. Your Honor.
You got a warrant. Yeah. It's from the driving while license suspended. So here's what we're going to do. Just so happens the judge that's in front of is next door. But right now you're going to go into custody. We're going to take you in. I'm going to go next door, talk to Judge Freshour, see what she wants me to do with you.
Please, Your Honor, I have a gun. I need to wait.
What did I just say?
I just checked with the court about a warrant.
Court's going to stand in brief recess. I'll be right back. Kelly. River Ridge versus Kelly. I had to check with Judge Freshour. We will be releasing Mr. Kelly not until 1 o'clock today. I'm not going to hold you guys here. What I will do is I'll set this, Ms. Dornbush, if you're available for a non-jury trial on the 30th. Will that work? Just doing that so you have to come back and see us.
Your Honor, we don't mind coming back at 1 if Your Honor wants to do that, but I mean, if it's for the purpose of doing a bench trial, we don't have all of our witnesses that.
Right, and I think I'm gonna do a bench trial, let him bring what he wants in. And
So the
October 30th, 2024 at 9. Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
thank you. Sorry about the wait. We were trying to, what else? Oh, I see the show up. Can we hold that for this afternoon? Because the printout is in there for Mr. Kelly. Okay, you guys have a great day. Take care. She'll be back on Friday in the little box again. That's it. Court recalls the case of Finney versus Sidoni. These are present. All right, folks, I guess where we left off was, did you find receipts for payments?
Yes. Well, Your Honor, I did find discrepancies with the ledger that she did have. And I wanted to present, I did put in the notice, but I do want to present that the amounts for the rent are incorrect for our agreement. I know that in lieu of the C of O that we did agree to pay half the payment of the house plus DTE. The amounts that she has in here is substantially more.
What do you mean substantially more?
The amount should be, well, the mortgage was $1,831.77. Half of that would have been $915.89 or 85, but 89. And for 12 months, that would have been $10,990.20. We paid $13,443.
Hold on,
I'm
hold
sorry,
on.
escrow,
Ma'am,
sorry,
how much was monthly rent?
$915.89. Half of the mortgage.
All right, so Ms. Finney, was the agreement to pay half the mortgage?
The agreement was 1,200 something, wasn't 9. It's in the, that's what I had agreement with them. But they were paying 18 some at one time, 1,800. I don't know why, because they want to take over the mortgage, I guess, without permission.
And there was no written lease, is that correct?
staying there till they could find a place to stay. And since the COVID came, everything went along everything. So when that happened, I was staying at the hotels, spending money on hotels to stay, have a place to stay. Basically, I'm homeless.
I have a text message. Your Honor, may I speak? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I do have text messages, that, are opposite of what she says. But specifically with the DTE, I do have the text message, where she states how much we actually will pay. If you would like that,
Hey,
where it says pay half the rent of the house, and plus DTE if you, DTE.
let me see that. Show that to Miss Finney.
I think this is theirs and this is mine.
Let me see that.
Clear copy to see the bubble.
Who's in Dearborn?
That's a friend of mine, his son.
Okay.
Let me stay at his place, and I told them that I don't know if Hassan and I would work out, so I cannot have you guys stay there that long because my relationship with him is not stable. I'm only.
Right, but this, you clearly state in here, ma'am, you can pay half of the payment of the house plus DTE if you want.
Yes, I probably agreed to that, but then they still kept paying the amount that they were paying, like 1,800.
So how much was the mortgage payment on the house?
1,830.
And I told them
How much was the mortgage payment?
was 1,800 and something.
1831.
And I told them,
So that was, so let me ask you this. If it was 1831.77, so why did you guys, and I'm talking to the Sidonians, why did you pay 1833.77?
Your Honor, because she was having a hard time, and with these text messages, it does show that, yes, she was having a hard time with Hassan. We offered for her to come back. She said no, she wasn't going to.
that's not true.
Hold on.
It states that she did not want to come back. And so we decided to pay more of the mortgage.
Well, you're paying the entire,
Ahead more.
hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You paid the entire mortgage
Yes,
for 5 months.
yes, because if we were going to pay that, at least there wouldn't be something happening with the house. I didn't want us and the children to have an issue with, if the mortgage wasn't paid, then us not have a place to live. And then also if we paid more and she was to just pay us back, so we had money owed from the insurance anyways, then we would have just paid ahead on the or on the rent. At the time, it was paying ahead on the mortgage or paying ahead on the agreement. So
When did you guys move out?
September 1st, 2021. And the amounts that we were paying,
Hold on,
sorry,
didn't ask that. You moved out September of 2021. So,
I was in my house September 1st, 2021. You were.
okay, so why does this lease or this ledger only go through March?
Because they stopped paying the rent, I believe, on that.
no state escrow.
No. What? They what?
We were asked an amount to pay until the matters were figured out. And I needed to find the text with the agreement at the time to pay that until I found it.
Ma'am, Ms. Sweeney, how much why is their rent the 1267?
Why is it 1,267? Because I told them, you're paying 1,800. That's a lot of money for you guys. Pay 1,200. That's probably a reasonable rent, I said, but they kept paying the 1,800. So because they want to take over, and I have evidence that they tried doing that and they were denied doing that. And I also have a thing here that says they admitted they claim to say that I even used their credit card to pay the DTE and they had an invest.
Well, I'm not, this balance is wrong. So help me again. Why does it stop in March?
I believe that they started paying it through escrow. They were,
Okay, but still, why would your ledger stop?
that's what I.
That's our ledger. That's our proof of
No,
what
that's
they're.
not ours. That's not ours. No.
Oh, I thought that we
No,
made
I
that.
wouldn't press up there.
Oh, sorry, I misspoke. We have a
It's
different
okay.
ledger. It looks like that. Sorry.
It's okay. Actually contested that from the beginning when Drukis gave us this ledger because it was, I didn't agree with it. Sorry.
Well, part of the problem here, how much was the DTE bill each month? I mean, the only thing, look, here's what the problem is. I have to figure out what the monthly rent was. You're trying to say that it was $12.67,
Right.
except that at some point you agree that they're only supposed to pay half of the mortgage payment.
If I agreed to that, then I still kept paying whatever that was, so she really didn't respond back on that one.
Well, but here's the thing. It seems to me that if they were going to pay half the mortgage, because the house is in your name,
Yes,
so why would they pay the 18?
that, I don't know, I
Well-
even told them to pay 1,000 if they can, because that's a lot of money to pay each. And I didn't know when this,
Your Honor, our current rental payment is 2,400. I was able to pay it. I worked for.
I don't care.
But I'm just
I
saying,
really, no, I don't care.
I
it
just
doesn't matter to
wanted
me.
Pay ahead
It doesn't,
and to help her out as.
but you're going to just keep talking, even though I say I don't care. You say to pay half the mortgage payment, right? That's going to be 900 and some odd dollars. Can you give me half of 1870 of 1831.77? So it's going to be 916, which actually fits, quite frankly, Miss Finney, into kind of what you're saying, even if you were trying to be generous to them about them paying a certain amount, that what they should have done was pay 916 or 1,000, as you said, or whatever it is, but it wasn't this $1,200 figure. To the extent, it seems to me, there's in this DTE bill. But even if we look at and we'll get to the DTE bill, but even if we look at the DTE bill, there was 2568.49 in the DTE bill. Well, maybe, yes. Well, either way, I mean, what I'm saying is this, give me,
they were reimbursed through the bank.
please, give me 16 times 960.
14,656.
Give me then total on this.
It's 13,443 and 34 cents.
But can you take that number, subtract out 1460,
Is it 1460?
14,656 minus 13,434,
1222.
1222.
Yes.
Thank you. Then I need 6 times 916. Yeah.
54.96.
So you guys were in the house in September 2021.
September 1st, 2021 was when we came to get the last bit of our things, which was the vehicle.
All right, subtract out of that 916. We'll do this. 6718 minus 916.
6718 minus 916.
Yes, ma'am.
5802.
5802.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, folks, based upon what I have and what you've given me, and then I look over the period in time of the agreement from December of 2019, up until March 1st, 2021. What I have is I take the rental payments, the payments you made, there, then continue it out through August of 2021. What I have you owing is 5802 in rent. This is not including you still got to go through the DTE issue. But you got 5802 owing in rent. You have 5263.17. Can you do that? Just do 5263 because I'm knocking off some of this change.
Yeah,
Pardon?
5802 minus 5263.
Yes.
539.
539. Okay. So folks, when I go through what you guys have given me, and I'm just talking the rent issue, I'm not talking the DTE, which we still have to try to figure out what that is. You guys, it's closed. You said 539.
Yes.
You're 539 short. When I take the escrow, put it in, and so I bring it all the way from the beginning to the end at the half the mortgage payment. Okay, and I rounded some of the figures, but you're about 539 that you owe of rent. You follow what I did, ma'am? Okay. Now so that's what the court would find that you owe. Okay. The other amount then would be the DTE. Now, I know you guys wanted to start there, but I got to try to figure that out. Okay, at what point, now Ms. Finney, you charged them the DTE. I have December 23rd of 2020. That's when it appears on your ledger.
I paid that amount December 23, 2020. That's the one I paid.
That's the one that you paid. Right. That's what I was getting at. Okay. And let me ask you this. Is that the amount of the DTE bill that you're claiming they owe?
It was the remaining that they owed. For me to open up my DTE to move in, I had to pay for
You
it.
had to pay that. So okay. So let me put it this way. I think I know what you're telling me. That was what was left over from what they had not paid. Okay. You guys are saying that this was not your DTE bill?
But may I also add, the payment plan that we have on the ledger too, that was before we started paying, was a consistent payment amount.
Was what?
It was a consistent amount. We already knew it was a payment plan, but
মজা হয়েছে
অসাধারণ হয়েছে এই এ মেয়ে কি করে
ওই তুই ওরে দেখ চমকাই উঠছিস কেলা ওর নাম লাইলি আর আজকে সব ওই রান্না করছে
কি
হ্যাঁ আম্মা জান আমার পোলা কথা কইছিলাম না
ইস এরকম জঘন্য রান্না আমি জিন্দেগি দেখাই নাই
থাক আম্মা জান থাক আমি তো পারতাছি
সমস্যা না আপনার বাসার সামনে না আমি আগে দিতেছি চলেন
তুমি কেঠা মা আমি তো চিন্তা পারতেছি না কোনখানে বাসা
আমার সামনে মহল্লা বাসা আমার নাম লাইলি
ও লাইলি তুমি কি আমার চেনো
জি না খালাম্মা আসলে আপনি তো আমার মায়ের বয়সী বুঝছেন না তা আমার মা যদি এরকম বাজারে ব্যাগ টানতো আমি তো দিতাম না আমি লয়ে নিতাম
ও আচ্ছা
তো খালাম্মা আপনার কোনো পোলা মায়া নাই
আছে তো আমার একমাত্র পোলা আছে
তো চ্যাংরা পোলা থাকতে আপনার বাজারে যেতে হয় গেলা
তুমি যে কি কও তুমি কিন্তু খুব ভালো কথা কইছো আমি আসলে বাসায় দিকে তো মাঝে মাঝে নিজে হাট বাজার করি তা আম্মা জান তুমি কেমনে জানলা আমার পোলা চ্যাংরা
ও আপনার বয়স দেখে আন্দাজ করছি আর কি আপনার পোলা চ্যাংরাই হবো এইটা আপনার বাচ্চা
হ্যাঁ এই যে আইসা পড়ছে আমার বাসায় আইসা পড়ছে চাও তুমি এত কষ্ট করছো একটু চা পানি খিলাও
না না আজকে না খালাম্মা আরেকদিন আসুন
আচ্ছা
আপনি নিশ্চয়ই কষ্ট পাইছেন তাই না কষ্ট পাইলে মানে আপনি কইছেন আমারে আমি যদি না যাই তাহলে তো খারাপ দেখে তো আজকেই যাই তাহলে
চলো আচ্ছা আম্মাজান।
বাহ,
কি আম্মাজান?
আপনার বাসা খালাম্মা খুব সুন্দর, আপনার বাসা।
ও, আমি তো ভাবতেছিলাম তুমি আমার ছেলের কথা কইতাছ। মাশাআল্লাহ, আমার ছেলে সুন্দর আছে না?
আছে আর কি, ওই আছে।
আচ্ছা আম্মাজান, তুমি কি খাইবা? তোমার কি পছন্দ?
আপনার পোলায় কি পছন্দ করে?
ও তো যা পায় তাই খায়।
চেপাই তাই খায়, তার অবশ্য দেখে বুঝে যায়।
কিছু কইতাছ?
না খালাম্মা, কিছু কইতেছি না, মানে কইতে চাইছি যে সবার তো একটা প্রিয় খাদ্য থাকে, তারটা কি?
হ, আছে তো, গরুর গোস্ত। গরুর গোস্ত পাইলে তো মাথায় ঠিক থাকে না, খুবই পছন্দের।
আচ্ছা কইতেছেন, আমারও গরুর গোস্ত খুব পছন্দ।
ঠিক আছে আম্মাজান, তুমি বসো, গরুর গোস্তে রান্না করবো, দুপুরে সাথে মিলে একসাথে খামু।
আরে আমি এখানে একা একা বসে কি করবো খালাম্মা, আমি যাই আপনারে সাহায্য করি একটু।
মাশাআল্লাহ, কি লক্ষ্মী মাইয়া। আসো আসো।
মা মাংস যা হয়েছে না,
মজা হয়েছে?
অসাধারণ হয়েছে। এই এ মেয়ে কি করে?
ওই, তুই ওরে দেখ চমকাই উঠছিস কেলা? ওর নাম লাইলি, আর আজকে সব ওই রান্না করছে।
কি?
হ্যাঁ আম্মাজান, আমার পোলা কথা কইছিলাম না?
ইস, এরম জঘন্য রান্না আমি জিন্দেগি দেখাই নাই।
কি কইতাছস? একটু কি কইলি অসাধারণ, এখন কইতাছস ফালতু। মাথা গেছে নাকি?
খালাম্মা, আমার মনে হয় গরমে মাথা গিলু গলে গেছে গা।
তাই মেয়ে, তোমার সাহস তো কম না, তুমি এনে কেন আসছো?
খালাম্মা আপনার সামনে আমরা ধমকাইতেছে।
ওই, তুই ওরে দাম গাছ গেলা? হ্যাঁ, ও আইছে তো কি হয়েছে? তোর কোনো সমস্যা আছে? ও জানোস না আজকে আমার এই রান্না বান্না কত সাহায্য করছে?
জানতে চাই না, ওরা এখনই বাড়ি থেকে বাইরে যেতে বলো।
কি কথা চস? এত কিছু কষ্ট করে রান্না করে মাইটা না খাইয়ে চলে যাবো?
ও যদি এখান থেকে না যায় আমি বাইরে যাবো এখন।
খালাম্মা, তোর মাথা নষ্ট হয়ে গেছে গা। আমি বরং আজকে যাই, আপনার থাকেন খান, আমি আরেকদিন এসে খামুনি।
আমার যান, তুই এটা কি করলি? মাইটারে খালি মুখে বিতে দিলি?
তুমি ওরে চিনো না মা, খুব ডেঞ্জারাস।
আমার চিন্তার দরকার নেই, তুই বেশি করে খা।
ওর খামুই না।
You can see that it was already on a payment plan as far as the billing history goes as well.
With DTE. Okay. Let me ask you this. When you guys moved in December of 2019, what was the DTE balance?
That we don't know. We just.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Do you know, ma'am, what the DTE balance was in December of 2019?
I believe like right around 140 or 240, something like that, but the DTE,
That was owing on it when they moved in.
yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So you said around 140 or 240? Okay, that's fair. Okay. Do you have, okay. Couple of things because I think one of the things you guys are kind of getting mixed up here, okay? We're talking about whose name it was in. It's not really going to matter, okay? And here's why. You own the house, right? You're renting the house. Here's what DTE does, typically. Is that once there's a renter in the house and you say, I've got to put the utilities in my name, it goes into your name, right? That doesn't mean you're off the hook. So what happens is if you don't pay, you get shut off, right? You guys get shut off, but it reverts back into her name. Go ahead.
I just want to make notice as far as the shut off that did happen was not that type of situation. I just wanted to make sure.
No, I get that. The shut off part was to try to get something into your name, but
The shut off was- I'm sorry,
go ahead.
The shut off was done by her on.
No, I know,
Okay. But
but
we
listen,
didn't turn it back on.
pardon?
But we didn't turn it back on in her name. We just called DT to let them know that our card was charged for her back amount. So we were able to,
How much was your charge?
it was the $2,568.
Right. Okay, so that couldn't have been her back amount.
Right here, this show payments before we even moved in October.
Let me see it. Let me see it. Let me see it. I know,
That's my.
but I didn't want you to.
Okay.
Just let me see it. I know how to read a bill. Why don't you show that, Miss? I know the carpet. Hold on. Let me just see this. Okay. And then I'll take a look at what you want me to take a look at. So let me ask you this. December 1st of 2020, here am I supposed to see that amount was a past due amount?
It don't show. We didn't have record of her account. It just shows that same payment made is a payment plan. That 280 is a payment plan showing consistent payments from October from when she was behind. She was on a payment plan in October when we took over the DTE bill. Before we even moved in, 3 months before we moved in, she was having financial problems. We took care of the DTE bill and paid her balance. And then when we got up to.
But hold it. You paid her balance. When did you?
We paid the monthly bill. I'm sorry.
Monthly bill, Your Honor.
But at some point you have to catch it up or adjust.
It kept accumulating
Yeah.
and we just paid the monthly bill.
See, that doesn't, okay. So, but hold on a minute. See, here's the problem. You guys, the difficulty here is one